Good morning, everybody, and welcome. And welcome to new faces, returning faces, and faces that have been here. I almost went there. So today, I'm calling this meeting to order. It's in accordance with the Section 12 for the Municipal Government Act that I'm chairing this meeting. First, I would like to take roll call. When I call your district, please state your name. District 1.
Bruce, excuse me, Bruce Pratt.
District 2.
Brian Bell.
District 3.
Alan Parrish.
District 4.
Clyde Bartow.
District 5.
Lynn Longmire.
District 6.
Alec Morrison.
District 7.
David Hudson.
District 8.
Michael Gunn.
District 9.
Wendy Sheridan.
District 10.
Brad Redden.
District 11.
Diane LeBlanc.
Thank you, everybody. I'm standing without a pen, I can't do it. So just a couple of items before we get into the meat of it. There's a lot of stuff on your desk. For new councilors coming in, there's tax and pay information. You'll want to get that filled out, and Dawn could take that with her today, Dawn Campbell. That way you get paid. And if you have any questions after the meeting, Dawn can answer them for you. Also on your desk, you will see a memo about committee selection for what committees should be to your right. They are specific to your district. Some committees you sit on just because of the district you represent, where you live. And you have to select your top 3 preferences. So there is information on that. That information needs to come back to Wanda. If you have questions after the meeting, I'm sure Wanda would be happy to help you. There are specific directions on how you can return them if you don't want to fill it in here, if you want to think about it for a while. What else is on your desk? The white binders. So the white binders, the CAO will be referencing this afternoon. That's not part of this morning, that's part of your orientation. There's a lot of information in it. If you'd like to take it with you to read, it is all confidential information, so I'd ask you to pull the slip out of the front sleeve, sign it, and get it back to me. And then when it's returned, I can sign the paperwork that it's come back. Again, that can happen at the end of the meeting. Any questions about anything on your desk? We will get to the oath of allegiance after the CAO has a few opening remarks and the code of conduct. So we will get to those. What I've provided for you is 2 originals of each of those, 2 oaths and 2 code of conduct. At the time, I will ask you to sign all 4 of those documents, return all 4 to me, so I can countersign them, and I will return an original to you, and I will keep an original for our record. So right now, I would, Mr. Ferguson, CAO, have a few opening remarks. Thank you.
First, I want to congratulate everybody for their election victories and welcome you to Annapolis County government in the sense that you are the governance of policy and development, and we are the administration. And the opportunity for us to learn each other's roles is going to be coming before us. And I believe that we should probably start slow, just depending on where people are with their understanding, and have an opportunity to go through the binders. We'll touch base on them, but really I would encourage folks to take the information home, go through it and read it. If there's questions that come out of that, what you'll garner and learn over the next few months will escalate. And as I've always said to anybody in municipal government, we're always learning. You can be in it for 30 years and there's always something new. So I look forward to working with you and growing together as we work with the challenges and opportunities that the county faces. That's basically all I want to say. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did I tell you who I am? I'm Carolyn Young. I'm the municipal clerk. Who's the lady up front? So first item on the agenda is the declaration of elected candidates. So pursuant to Section 129(1) of the Municipal Elections Act, I will declare the following councillors elected as a result of the 2020 municipal elections held on October 17th, 2020. Councillor for District 1, Bruce Prout. Councillor for District 2, Brian Fuzzy Connell. Councillor for District 3, Alan Parrish. Councillor for District 4, Clyde Bartow. Councillor for District 5, Lynn Longmire. Councillor for District 6, Alec Morrison. Councillor for District 7, David Hudson. Councillor for District 10, Brad Redden. And Councillor for District 11, Diane LeBlanc. Councillors previous declared elected by acclamation pursuant to Section 55 of the Municipal Elections Act were Councillor for District 8, Michael Gunn, and Councillor for District 9, Wendy Sheridan. So now I'm going to administer the oath of office. Because of COVID, we're in a different setup, so rather than me have you standing next to me, I will ask you by district, starting with 1. If you didn't notice, you're from 1 to 11 around the table, so I should keep track of everybody. I will ask each councillor to rise and read their oath of office. After you're seated, you can sign both of those and just hold them on your desk, and I'll collect them at the future moment in time. Councillor Prout.
I, Bruce Prout, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law, and that I am duly qualified as required by law for the office of Municipal Councillor of the Municipality of the County of Annapolis, and that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue execution of the duties of my office.
Thank you. Councillor for District 2, Brian.
I, Brian Connell, do swear that I will be faithful and bear the true alliance to the Majesty of Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law, and that I am duly qualified as required by law for the office of Municipal Councillor for the Municipality of the County of Annapolis, and that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue executions of the duties of my office.
Councillor for District 3.
I, Alan Parrish, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law, and that I am duly qualified as required by law for the office of Municipal Councillor of the Municipality of the County of Annapolis, and that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue execution of the duties of my office.
Councillor for District 4.
I, Clyde Bartow, do swear that I will be faithful and bear allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law, and that I am duly qualified as required by law for the office of Municipal Councillor for the Municipality of the County of Annapolis, and that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward promised thereof for exercise of any particular or other undue execution of the duties of my office.
Thank you. Councillor District 5.
I, Lynn Longmire, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to the law, and that I am duly qualified as required by the law for the office of Municipal Councillor of the Municipality of the County of Annapolis, and that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue execution of the duties of my office.
Thank you. Councillor District 6.
I, Alec Morrison, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law, and that I am duly qualified as required by law for the office of Municipal Councillor of the Municipality of the County of Annapolis, and that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue execution of the duties of my office.
Councillor District 7.
I, David Hudson, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law, and that I am duly qualified as required by law for the office of the Municipal Councillor of the Municipality of the County of Annapolis, and that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue execution of the duties of my office.
Councillor District 8.
I, Michael Gunn, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law, and that I am duly qualified by law for the office of Municipal Councillor of the County of Annapolis, and that I will truly, faithfully, impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue executions of the duties of my office.
Thank you. Councillor District 9.
I, Wendy Sheridan, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law, and that I am duly qualified as required by law for the office of the Municipal Councillor of the Municipality of the County of Annapolis, and that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue execution of the duties of my office.
Councillor District 10.
I, Brad Redden, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law, and that I am duly qualified as required by law for the office of Municipal Councillor of the Municipality of the County of Annapolis, and that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue execution of the duties of my office.
Councillor District 11.
I, Diane LeBlanc, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and the successors according to law, and that I am duly qualified as required by law for the office of Municipal Councilor of the Municipality of the County of Annapolis, and that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue execution of the duties of my office.
Thank you. So you've all sworn that oath before me, the municipal clerk. I'd ask you to sign both copies of that. I will collect them later, and I will complete the signature portion of that and return one to you. Also before you, you will see the Code of Conduct for Municipal Councilors. I'll read that out. It's a policy that was approved by the former council in 2016. The purpose: the public expects the highest standards of conduct from members elected to local government. The purpose of this Code of Conduct is to establish guidelines for the ethical and interpersonal conduct of members of council. This code will assist the Municipal Council of the Municipality of the County of Annapolis in taking a more enlightened position toward realizing good government and promoting basic goodness. Policy number 1. Councilor members will carry on the business of the County of Annapolis in accordance with their mandate while maintaining the integrity, competence, and dignity of the position. 2. Council members will act in good faith at all times, putting the public interest above personal interest. 3. Council members will be cognizant of issues involving a conflict of interest, either direct or indirect, and will declare and disclose such interest when it occurs. 4. No council member shall show favoritism or bias toward any vendor, contractor, or others doing business with the municipality. Councilors are prohibited from accepting gifts or favors from any vendor, contractor, or others doing business with the municipality personally or through a family member or friend, which could give rise to a reasonable suspicion of influence to show favor or disadvantage to any individual or organization. 5. No member shall grant any special consideration, treatment, or advantage to any citizen or group of citizens beyond that which is accorded to all citizens. 6. Council members will not disclose information which has been shared in confidentiality, i.e. in camera sessions. 7. Council members seeking information from staff will do so as appropriate through the Office of the Chief Administrative Officer. 8. Council members seeking information through the Part 20 of the Municipal Government Act, Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy, FOIPOP, will do so through the Office of the Chief Administrative Officer. 9. Council members will make every attempt to attend all council meetings and those to which they have been appointed. However, when this is not possible, this expected absence should be made known to the warden or committee chairperson prior to the meeting. 10. Council members will recognize that the expenditure of municipal funds is a public trust and will endeavor to ensure that such funds are expended efficiently, economically, and in the best interest of the county. 11. Council members will not request the use of county-owned vehicles, equipment, materials, or property for personal convenience. 12. Council members will avoid hostility and bitterness during meetings, will observe proper decorum and behavior, will encourage full and open discussions in all matters, and will not withhold or conceal from fellow council members any information or matter in which they should be concerned. 13. Council members will make no disparaging remarks in or out of the council meeting about other members of council, staff, or members of the public or their opinions, but will reserve the right to make honest and respectful criticism. 14. Council members will not pursue any procedure calculated to embarrass a fellow member of council or a member of the county staff. It's getting thirsty in here. 15. Council members will endeavor to make educated decisions by gathering information from other council members and, when applicable, from individuals or groups. 16. Council members will endeavor to keep informed on all local, provincial, and national developments which may be of significance to the County of Annapolis. 17. Council members will abide by the majority decisions of council. All members recognize the responsibility of the warden to accurately communicate the decisions of the council, even if they disagree with such decisions, such that respect for the decision-making processes of council is fostered. 18, persons who have reason to believe that this code has been breached in any way are encouraged to bring their concerns forward. No adverse action shall be taken against any council member or municipal employee who, acting in good faith, brings forward such information. In 19, any reported violation of the code will be addressed immediately and subject to investigation by municipal council. Violation of this code by a council member may constitute a cause for corrective action. If an investigation finds a council member has breached a provision of the code, municipal council may impose corrective action commensurate with the nature and severity of the breach, which may include a formal warning or reprimand to the council member. This has been provided to all councillors. This is the code of conduct that's expected. You have 2 copies of that in front of you, 2 originals. If you sign those, please correct the date to today's date, November 10th, 2020. And I hold on to those and I will collect those and I will return one to you after I sign them. Election of the warden. Does anyone mind if I sit?
No? No?
Good. So the process for the election of the warden, I will call for nominations. Those accepting the nominations will be given a brief period of time to speak. My suggestion for that is 3 minutes. If it's the wish of the room, it can be changed to another time period. So first I will call for nominations for the office of warden. Councillor Huston?
Yes, I nominate Councillor Parrish.
Is there a seconder for that nomination?
I would second that.
Councillor Parrish, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Councillor LeBlanc?
I nominate Alex Morrison.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Redden, thank you. Councillor Morrison, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations for the office of warden? Are there any other nominations for the office of warden? Are there any other nominations for the office of warden? This will be the close of nominations. Wanda is writing handwritten ballots. I'll bring the ballots around to you in a basket at the end of a hockey stick. You can take a ballot out. I'll go around the room, then I will come back and put your ballot back in the basket. I'll need you to appoint a scrutineer from the people available in the room, and that would be either the IT person, who's quite engaged, or the media person at the back of the room, Larry Powell. So I would entertain a motion from the floor to appoint someone as scrutineer.
I nominate Larry Powell.
Is there a seconder for that nomination for Larry Powell? Seconder for the nomination? Councillor Pritt, thank you. Are there any other nominations for the...
I nominate the IT.
Is there a seconder for that?
I do.
So we have...
Then you have to vote.
You have to vote on the first motion, I believe.
Yeah. So we'll just do it by show of hands. Councillor LeBlanc moves, seconded by Councillor Pritt, to nominate Mr. Hopkins as scrutineer. By show of hands, all those...
No.
Yeah.
Correction.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The first motion is still on the floor.
I'm trying to write and talk at the same time. It's not working for me. So I will call Councillor LeBlanc moves, seconded by Councillor Pritt, that Mr. Powell act as the scrutineer for the process that we're about to embark on. All those in favor by show of hands, please. 1, 2, 3, 4 in favor. Motion lost. And the motion on the floor moved by Councillor Connell, seconded by Councillor Parrish, that Mr. Hopkins be the scrutineer. By show of hands, all those in favor, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Thank you, Mr. Hopkins, you are the scrutineer. So we want to still making the ballots, are they all ready?
No, I was doing the
Yes, I
motion
know.
again.
Yeah.
So bear with me,
Yeah.
please.
Are you going to speak?
Yes. So we have two names on the ballot. They are Morrison and Parrish. I'm suggesting a 3-minute time. Is there any, or a brief discourse? I don't know how formal you want this to be. I'm suggesting 3 minutes. If you want it different than that, I can take it for motion.
I think I'm going to be about 4 minutes, if that's a problem.
Just don't make me stop you if you're going to just finish it. Councillor Morrison, alphabetically, you may have the floor.
Good morning. My main goals in accepting nomination as your warden are to instill a sense of unity, of positive purpose, of order and decorum in all aspects of council proceedings. I believe in the supremacy of council. I believe in transparency. I believe I have the experience and expertise to accomplish those aims, always with your active cooperation. And I make my remarks today within the context of the county policy of electing the warden and deputy warden for a 2-year term. During 6 years in New York as a member of the Permanent Mission of Canada to the United Nations, I have chaired meetings of diplomats from over 150 countries. In addition, I have been Chief Executive Officer of a multi-million-dollar, over 100-staff national and international peacekeeping center at the request of the Canadian government. I have 8 years' experience as a county councillor. I have chaired our audit committee for a number of years now and have received praise from my committee colleagues and the citizen member for my meager manner. I have attended meetings of the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities and the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. Coupled with 6 years as a board member of the Nova Scotia Property Valuation and Services Corporation, I have learned much of the exterior nature of municipal politics. I might add here that I have no desire to seek leadership in such outside the county organizations. My 8 years as a councillor and the committees I have chaired add greatly to my council operational knowledge. I have been in and out of each district multiple times, attending social functions and meetings, as well as just getting the lay of the land. Our county warden needs to be a person of experience who will represent the county as council dictates. The warden is the chair of council meetings and fills a guidance and suggestive function, all the while adhering to our agenda. Please be assured that I will stand for the interests of our citizens and of Annapolis County in a caring and compassionate manner. I ask for your support, and I promise active and positive cooperation with each of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. Councillor Parrish?
Thank you. My wife Sandra and I came to Annapolis County 16 years ago. We bought an old derelict farm and made it our own. Since then, I have restored 4 derelict or close to derelict houses in the community of Clarence that I live in. Plus, I've brought back about 60 or 70 acres of agricultural land to production that wasn't being used previously. I did that because I want to leave the planet a better place than I found it. I've contributed to Annapolis County since that time. I've been on the Planning Advisory Committee here for a couple of years, back maybe 10 years ago. I was a shareholder in the grain elevators, the Nova Agro grain elevators in Lawrencetown. I've been a board member of the Annapolis Royal Historic Gardens here for 6 years, and most recently as the treasurer. Unfortunately, I had to resign that position because of my election. I've got a lot of experience in running organizations. I'm just going to briefly go through some of those. I was the first vice chair of the Clean Nova Scotia Foundation, which now has morphed in. It started on controlling the recycling business in Nova Scotia for the government, and then it morphed into clean energy, which is what it does now. And then I became the chairman, and I was the chair of that organization for a number of years. When I started my law practice in Lunenburg, Lunenburg was morphing from a seaside town, a fishing town, to what it has now become a historic town. And during that time, I was the president of the Lunenburg Heritage Society. When I moved into Halifax in the early 1980s, I then became the president of the Nova Scotia Heritage Trust, and I was the president for a number of years. Sometime about 20 years ago, the government of Nova Scotia decided to amend the Environment Act, and I was chosen as the chair of a 3-man committee to travel the province from Sydney to Yarmouth, taking input from the public on changes to the Environment Act. And then our committee made a formal report to the government with respect to the proposed changes that the people in the province wanted to have. When I was in Lunenburg, there was a problem with the hospital, Fisherman's Memorial Hospital, if any of you know that. There were disputes between the administration and the board and the doctors. So the Department of Health came in and they fired the board, they fired the administrator, and they made all the doctors reapply for accreditation to the hospital. In the meantime, they appointed a retired lieutenant general and myself to run the hospital, along with a person from the Department of Health, who basically served as the administrator as we tried to put the pieces back together again for that hospital. So we did that. That took about a year or two, and then we did get a new board. We got a new administrator. The doctors all applied, and I became, again, the vice chair of the hospital and under the new board for a couple of years. When I was in Halifax, Halifax decided to have a new committee about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe more, called the Design Review Committee. And every development in Halifax had to be approved by the Design Review Committee. I was the first chair of that committee, and I served as chair of that committee for a number of years. In all of those volunteer organizations, I was chosen, I like to think, because of my leadership qualities, which I hope to bring to the benefit of Annapolis County. Now, as most of you know, I'm a retired lawyer. I was appointed Queen's Counsel in 1997. I was the managing partner of a 25-lawyer law firm for many years. Now, the managing partner is the leader of the law firm. He's kind of the chairman of the board of the law firm. And I did that for quite a while in a multi-million-dollar operation. There's an organization called Best Lawyers in Canada that people are selected by their peers and listed in this publication. I was regularly listed as Best Lawyers in Canada in commercial litigation and media law. The media lawyers of the country formed an organization called the Canadian Media Lawyers Association, of which there are about 100 members. I was chosen as the president of that organization. I also lectured at Dalhousie University Law School for a number of years in media law. I like to think that in all of those different jobs or positions that I've held, I've brought people together with a sense of unity to work together as a team to accomplish our ends. And that's what I hope to do if I'm elected as warden of the municipality of the County of Annapolis. We have to be a team, we have to work together, and hopefully my experience that I've just outlined to you will help me and help you come together as the team we'd like to have. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr. Parrish. Councilor Parrish. So here we come with the fancy ballot service.
Necessity of mother.
You people better be nice, or she might have a mean swing.
So I will ask you to take one ballot out, make your mark next to the person you choose, and fold the ballot in half. When I come back, I'll ask you to put it back in the basket.
It's got a pretty mean curve on that stick, I have to say.
I'm smiling under my mask. Can I show it? I think this is hilarious. Not the election, just the coffee stick in the basket.
Yes.
So is this a check mark or an X or a circle
Any
or
mark you choose,
any mark you choose?
Play center or
defense.
defense?
While you're here, I just wanted to point out the date is wrong.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
Oh, did you? Okay, thank you. You want me to change it?
Yeah, I'm into it.
Thank you.
Initial the date?
Maybe because you're changing the document.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll stand back.
All ballots have been taken out, one per person. It wasn't that one, it was just the water.
Play hockey, Carol?
I actually played on the women's hockey team at St. Anne's in 1971.
Good for you.
We had a women's hockey team.
Yes, they did.
Is that the stick that you used?
I know.
Mr. Hopkins, if you would come to me, please. Give to the rest of you.
Money, three for the show, please get ready.
I hadn't been around with it all during the week, until this week.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. And this week's a little different than say on the weekends or during the day. Did you see that message? No, I came down to Owen.
While you were chatting,
I do that. Five site, you know, there's any more else.
Exactly.
Thank you, everybody. You have a winner for the position of warden, Councillor Parrish.
Thank you very much to everybody. Thank you for the trust and the faith that you've shown in me. I'll do my very best to return the obligations that you put upon me. I look forward to working with all of you as we go through the next 4 years, or at least my 2 years together. Thanks very much.
Now, Mr. Warden, if you'd like to call for nominations for deputy warden.
Thank you. Nominations for deputy warden. Mr. Hudson?
Yes, could I make a motion that the ballot be destroyed?
Yes, I'll be calling for that after, but thank you. We'll take it now. Thank you.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor LeBlanc?
Question on the motion?
Question on the motion. All in favor, please raise your hand. I think we see a majority there, so thank you very much. Can I get a piece of paper or something?
Yeah, I can bring it, but I can give you the backs of the...
Just a nice piece of paper there.
Yeah.
So I'll now call for nominations for the position of deputy warden. Councillor Sheridan.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Gunn.
Nomination of Councillor Gunn. Is there a seconder for that?
I would second that.
Councillor Bartow. Second. Councillor Gunn, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Are there any other nominations? Councillor Redden.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Brian Connell for the position of deputy warden.
Councillor Connell. Is there a seconder for that nomination?
I will second.
Councillor Longmire. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Ms. Longmire?
I nominate Mr. Brad Redden.
Mr. Councillor Redden?
Yes.
Is there a seconder for that motion? That nomination, I should say? Is there a seconder for that nomination?
I'll second it.
Councillor Gunn?
Democracy rules.
Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations?
Didn't accept.
Hearing none, I declare nominations closed.
Do you accept?
Ask Mr. Connell and Mr. Redden if they accept the nomination.
Pardon me?
Ask Mr. Redden and Mr.
Oh,
Connell.
I'm sorry,
if they
yes.
accept.
Councillor Redden, do you accept your nomination?
Yes.
Councillor Connell, do you accept your nomination?
Yes.
So I've read the procedure under the policy when we've got 3 people, and I'm just going to say what I think, how I think it works, and obviously I'm happy to be corrected by the clerk. My understanding is that there's a vote, and if there's a majority, which would be 6, then that person is elected. But if there's not a majority, then the lower person drops off and we have another vote. Did I get it right?
Yes.
Okay. So, I guess, do we have ballots?
We will be getting ballots if these people would like to have a moment to speak while we're preparing ballots.
Okay. As you can see, because of the time I used in my little talk, the time for the speech is perhaps a little elastic. But we'll start, I think what I'll do, if you don't mind, I'll start in the order of nomination rather than alphabetical.
Yes, yeah.
So, Councillor Gunn, if you have a few words to say.
I do, thank you. I have to use a prepared text. I'm not an old hand like I'm Michael Gunn, and I live in Annapolis County. I can tell you all that right there. It's my home, and it has been for 60 years. I've made my life working in the industries of the county: farming, fishing, forestry, construction, and manufacturing. When I came to council 4 years ago, I really didn't know exactly what the job of a councilor was. But, like you, I wanted the best for our county. And I soon realized that it was unlike anything that I had ever done before. So I began the courses offered by Dalhousie University. I've studied local government, finance, municipal law, public administration professionalism, freedom of information, and privacy foundations. And so far, I have an associate certificate in local government administration. And after one more law course this winter, I'll have a certificate in law and ethics. I take these courses and the information I receive seriously, so as I can understand the complexities of municipal governance and all the acts that go along with it. It was John Piers Humphrey who outlined that citizens can do anything except that which is forbidden, while governments and their representatives can only do that which is prescribed. We have to follow the Municipal Government Act. I believe what I have learned has helped council, and I would encourage you who are just starting to take the courses as well. As deputy, I would put on my best face for Annapolis County, speak positively about the well-informed decisions we have made together. I'll step in when the warden is absent and represent our collective interests. I thank you for your consideration. And I think I would have a lot to offer as deputy warden of the county of Annapolis. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gunn. Councillor Connell, would you like to say a few words?
Good day, colleagues. Brian Fuzzy Connell. I was a county councillor. I didn't offer last term because I was getting to begin my retirement from a career I had for ongoing for 30 years. And in that career, I covered most every speck and square footage of Annapolis County, working for transportation. My main area was from Bridgetown to the county line, and from the water to the mid of the province, out in Springfield. I have a great interest in the county. I never stopped being part of the county. I still am the chair of the one-room school museum in Mount Hanley, and I sit on the board of trustees for the Fort George Community Center. And I worked hard in the community, no matter being a councillor or being a citizen. I'm very proud to represent Annapolis County, and I feel that I can support the rest of council and the warden in time of need, and I would like the opportunity to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Redden?
Well, as some of you have already found, I used to be a geologist and a carpenter, and as some of you had to listen to, I tend to just relate everything back to rocks, which sometimes helps and sometimes doesn't. But one of the things, a saying that's always sort of guided me in my career as a geologist was by one of the first people in petroleum geology, was that oil is found in the mines of man. And I've always taken that probably a little more broadly than it was said, but that often all our actions should be first tempered by thought, consideration. And it's a mantra I've taken with me my entire life. And it's led me many interesting conclusions sometimes. I have to check my notes a little more thoroughly here, I guess. Where that takes us is I think it's really important we all consider ourselves not just as the elected officials who are making decisions for this municipality, but that we're also elected for our leadership skills. And as leaders, I feel we should all be leading by example, and that example should be prudent and considered discourse. And I've learned kind of the hard way a few times during this election, and I had some very generous residents point out to me that even though I may have considered my words very carefully to relate what I mean, I did not necessarily consider how they were going to be heard. And this is something, a lesson I learned, I would like to relate to the rest of you. It was quite humbling, but also out of those interactions, I came to make some personal friends, which I found to be very welcoming, as the county as a whole is. And go back to reading here. In seeing this and the welcoming of the county, I've also been thinking about our democratic institutions. This is my first foray into government from the spectator seat and into the actual institution. And it has given me, again, more time for thought and consideration of perspective. And I'd always thought that one of the greatest things in our democracy was the institution, the elected representatives, the appointed bodies, hired employees. And I came to realize just within this past week that the greatest feature of our democracy, and all democracies, is that we bring our minds together. And it brings together minds that can work together even from differing opinions. And often very, very different opinions. And there's not really another institution that humans have come up with yet to do that. And it's that common goal that allows you to bring everybody together. And if I could be rather bold and to paraphrase Mr. Pearson, we move together with our common goal, if not by confidence and cooperation, at least by mutual tolerance and self-interest. And so what I have to present to you today is not the experience of Councillor Connell or Councillor Gunn, but I have to offer you the same thing I offered the residents of my district. They've found it satisfactory, and I hope you do as well. And that is, I will listen with curiosity, and I will speak with honesty, as I hope you've all found, and I will always act with integrity, as much as it sometimes hurts. Anyways, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So, are we ready for the ballots? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. ballots over there. What is it?
No line on it. Just say leave it alone.
Yeah, we have to sign those.
There's no line.
No, I just stuck it in.
Doesn't matter.
Before the date.
As long as it's on.
Before the
So there's no clear outcome. So the name with the lowest number of ballots will come off. And we'll do another ballots. Councillor Connell, you will be not on the next round of ballots. So it'll be Councillors Redden and Gunn. Yes, yeah. I also have available Robert's Rules for Dummies and the Gorilla Guide to Robert's Rules.
I think I have the Coles one. Sunbird, I don't know if it's on.
lunchtime, pretty soon.
You getting hungry?
That one, no, that one is not. There's one forecast.
Procedure, by the way.
What's that? Trust me, you'll know. No, yeah. After a while,
Some of the policies.
all got it. Doesn't matter where you sit. Never. It's not in my DNA.
Okay, this is round 2.
I really don't need 5, I don't think.
Okay, some people burn on that.
Next Thursday. Council.
Picking up was a lot easier than the
Almost like a collection plate. Just putting money in there.
It's funny she didn't ask for money.
What's that? It'll be on. Maybe I can review that.
It might be different.
Mr. Warden, I would like to announce that your new deputy warden is Councillor Gunn.
Thank you all very much. I'll try to do so.
And if there could be a motion to destroy the ballots, please.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Councillor LeBlanc. Is there a seconder to the motion to destroy the ballots? Councillor Bartow. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Now, the nominating committee, is that a volunteer thing? I couldn't understand that from the policy.
So in the past, people have volunteered, so we need 3 members for the nominating committee, along with the warden, to build a nominating committee. If there are more than 3, then you have to have an election and go through nominations.
Okay. So we're looking for nominations for people to serve on the nominating committee. Is it the usual, we need a nominator and a seconder for these positions?
If we're doing it through that process, yes.
Okay. So I'll call for nominations for people on the nominating committee. Councillor Sheridan,
Nominate Diane LeBlanc, Councillor LeBlanc.
is there a seconder for that nomination?
I would second it.
Okay. Councillor Prout. Councillor LeBlanc, do you accept the nomination?
I do, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Councillor Connell?
I nominate Wendy Sheridan.
Councillor Sheridan?
Second.
Yeah, second.
I heard a second. Was that Councillor Gunn? Are there any other nominations? Oh, I should ask, I'm sorry, Councillor Sheridan, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Are there any other nominations? Councillor Sheridan?
Councillor Gunn.
Is there a seconder for that nomination? Councillor Hudson? Councillor Gunn, do you accept that nomination?
Yes, thank you.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I would declare those three to be our new nominating committee along with myself. Is that right?
That's nice.
Thank you. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a few other things here that Councillor Morrison wishes the floor for a minute, and I have a few other comments, and then I'll ask if there's any other new business that anyone else wants to bring up while we're here together. Councillor Morrison, would you like to make a few words?
Thank you. Tomorrow is the 11th of November, Remembrance Day. It's going to be a different Remembrance Day. We are not going to be as close in person as we have been. And here in Nova Scotia, we will have to abide by the new rules that were instituted yesterday. So there is a bit of privation. But that does not stop us from remembering. And there are some people here who have heard these two stories, and some who have not. I want to tell you the tale of two uncles. One of my wife Elizabeth's, and one of mine. Her uncle was a pilot officer. He flew 2-engine Wellingtons and 4-engine Halifax bombers. In June of 1943, he was shot down over Holland. All the other 6 crew members were killed. He survived. With the help of patriots and underground organizations, he walked from Holland to Gibraltar and arrived back in England in September of 1943. Following debriefing by MI5, he was sent home on 30 days leave, and that is the time from which my wife remembers her uncle. He went back and said, I want to go back to my own squadron, 429. He converted the 4-engine Halifax and continued bombing the enemy. Until the 24th of March, 1944, when he took off from Leaming RAF base in northern England at 7:01 to take part in what was the last big bombing raid of Berlin. They dropped their bombs at about 11 o'clock, turned south before turning west and then north to go back to Leaming. At 10 o'clock that evening, a German pilot, Heinz Roker, took off in a Jaeger fighter. 10 o'clock that evening. Hauptmann Roker was back in bed at about midnight +30, having shot down 5 airplanes. One of them was Elizabeth's uncle. Now you remember when Gerald Conroy was shot down in March of 1943? He survived and all his crew died. This time, he died and all the crew survived. We have met the last person who spoke to him alive. And we said to Flight Lieutenant McIntyre in British Columbia a number of years ago, what happened? George McIntyre was the engineer, the alternate pilot. These bombers only had one pilot. And when I first heard that Gerald didn't have his parachute on, I said, what a stupid fellow. But that was the practice because of the length of the flights. And when they got hit by Heinz Roker using a technique called Schräger music, jazz music. The fighter came up under the wing and separated the wing from the main body. And that happened, and George McIntyre tells the story, the wing flipped over the cockpit. And he said to Gerald Conroy, the pilot, Elizabeth's uncle, what do you want me to do, skipper? And Gerald said, get out. Get out. He held that airplane steady while all of his crew parachuted to safety. Once again, remember, over Holland, he survived and all of the crew died. Who knows what went through his mind as he was piloting that airplane to get all of his crew to safety. We found, with the help of people in Germany, Heinz Roker, the pilot. And we called him a number of times. He suggested we visit. And there was a bit of hesitation. And finally he relented and he met us at the Bahnhof, the train station in Oldenburg, Germany. And we had dinner. And the next day, some German folks we knew and helped us with all of this research came. And we met. And Mr. Roker walked into the hotel room and he looked at Elizabeth and said, I'm sorry I killed your uncle. And Elizabeth said, you didn't kill my uncle. You were fighting for your country exactly the same way he was fighting for his. Now the German people, where he landed, and he was very lucky when he came down. He landed the airplane in a farmer's field. The field is still there. They said the wing was over there, the body was over there, etc., etc. They buried him in the town graveyard. And he stayed there from 1944 until 1947, when the British graves registration folks came along trying to find out what happened to all these people. And they took Gerald and they put him in the Commonwealth War Grave Cemetery in Berlin. The Germans in the little town where he landed have taken a big rock, put it in the graveyard in a separate part, and every year we get pictures of them tending his grave. My uncle was from Sidney, Cape Breton. Somehow he got to England. Don't know why, nobody knows why, nobody knows how. He joined the British Merchant Marine. He was a stoker and a greaser, so you know where he worked in the ship. And in 1945, early, that ship was torpedoed off of Gibraltar. And you know what happens to somebody who's in the belly of the ship when it gets torpedoed. So Elizabeth's uncle is in the War Grave Cemetery in Berlin. And my uncle is in the Straits of Gibraltar. These are personal stories. And we tell them to bring home to us that war is very personal. And tomorrow, as the government has now taken to say, we honor those who served, and we remember those who did not return. And if we're at a ceremony or not tomorrow, let's try to remember with thanks. Thank you.
Thank you for those very emotional remarks, Councillor Morrison. They struck home to me. We're coming close to the end of the agenda. There is one item I'd like to discuss. I noticed that at the minutes of the last council meeting, the CAO was directed to find some location for in-person meeting for the committee of the whole, and meeting on Thursday, and I noticed that the notice says that it's going to be on Zoom, so perhaps the CAO could bring us up to date on what efforts have been made to find some in-person meetings for us, because talking to the councilors, I think we all would like to have in-person meetings rather than continue on Zoom.
All we've done is really related to our own location. This location came up, we found out about this probably just a couple of weeks ago. I think it was Councillor Gunn made note of the location. So we asked if they could set it up in this format for this particular arrangement. But as you know, there's no plus one, in the sense that it's just the council members and the staff that are here today. And typically there would be family members and other people present. We can't do that in this type of space. So our council meetings, although they would be open, for example, if they were held at our county office, people really wouldn't be able to come in. The other thing, from what we understand, based on the state of emergency, even though we would have things up, we'd still be required to wear masks for the entire meeting because of the closed space. So if we do find something, it has to be off-site. But we'll say it is cumbersome for everybody to get that organized for off-site. And as a part of the Zoom meetings, what people are saying is that they see each councillor on the Zoom meeting, and we put it up within 24 hours. The only time we didn't is when David was on vacation, and we still called him in to do it. And we put it up 24 hours after the fact. So that's what we've done. And for us, we're just trying to stay within the state of emergency. There's no particular budget to deal with these other matters. We could do a few meetings, but it's not something that we could sustain, I think, for a lengthy period of time. And of course, it is council. If council wants us to do that, we would do that. I came back and reported on this to council at the time, but council can make another decision if they choose to do so.
I do note that in Kings County, they take their masks off when they have to be sit down, so that they can talk. There's this facility. I did speak to the young lady who manages this facility, because I was the first one here today, and she's not available Thursday, but next Tuesday for the council meeting, she was going to check to see if this location would be available if council wanted to try to meet again here instead of on Zoom. Councilor Morrison?
Thank you. The lady with whom you conversed is Vice President of Development.
Pardon me?
The CEO here is Beth Earl. There is another building just down the road, into which I was the honorary president of the Legion, and we're having our Remembrance Day ceremonies there tomorrow, and we are able, that building is able to accommodate 150. I don't know if Champlain Hall entered into the discussions at all for meetings, but it is an Annapolis Basin Conference Center facility, and it'll hold 150 under COVID rules.
Okay. Are there any other comments about whether we want to continue in Zoom? Yes, Councillor Sheridan?
So regarding our own chamber, is there square footage regulation, or are we able to spread apart enough, 11 of us, and just the minimum of people we'd have to have in the room and the rest on conference call or Zoom? Is that doable?
I think so. I think there's several things that we could do. Has anybody been to the council chambers lately? Have you had a chance to go and get an idea?
Can't go in the building.
No problem. We can let people go in and take a look at it. It's not a big room. And that's really the big issue, is that councilors, even in their desks, I'll call them desks, they're not 6 feet apart. We have to build walls in between the councilors. And then from the camera perspective, because of the room, there's really only a couple of angles where you can get to see the council members. And half the time, you're seeing the back of councilors' heads. It's not the best. It's never been the best room, to be honest. But my only concern is if we go off-site, is the cost. And if we have to renovate the chambers, that's also a cost. So those are the reasons why we thought we'd wait it out. We weren't sure about the second wave, and it looks like it may be ramping up a bit lately. And that's the only reason. But ultimately, we can make the decision. It has to be designed in the way of health and safety regulations for staff and for public and for council.
Any Councillor Sheridan?
I was just going to make a motion to have the CAO look into the council chambers to see if it's doable to have the plexiglass, three pieces of plexiglass possibly on each desk. I think that's what's doable in other counties and what they're using, if that's possible. I'll make it a motion, please.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Connell?
And I get a comment on that?
Sure, go ahead.
Darren Rice, a local glass installer, has installed plexiglass at our restaurant, Bruce Cheval's, Chrysler Garage, mostly businesses up through our county. He has a machine that will bend the plexiglass so there's no joints. He's well within our county to buy local, and he has got the plexiglass. I was talking to him. I would like to see Mike Gunn's motion stand. When a motion is made and is passed by everyone in council, I think that we shouldn't have to make a new motion. Mike Gunn made a motion several councils ago that the new council would meet in person. I'd like to see for that motion to stand.
Are there any other comments on the motion?
Well, I'm not sure of the regulations on separation, but when Councillor Sheridan,
yes, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Councillor Sheridan mentioned on 3 sides, would we just not need separations between?
Well, then you probably get...
Sorry, you had the comments really should be directed to the chair.
Yeah. Well, that means I got to turn around. My neck's bothering me. To suit the regulations, the requirements of the COVID, and doesn't necessarily mean that we're in a box. Just wondering if we could keep the separations to a minimum so that, voices travel, like for and cameras looking and everything else. There's got to be a way to minimize that, but still stay within the guidelines. I just referred to the comment of a 3-sided booth. Well, I don't think we necessarily need the 3 sides. Maybe at the corner where you go around, but.
Any other comments, Councillor Gunn?
Thank you. I would like to amend that motion slightly and direct the CAO's office with Steve's office's operations, operations to have council chambers retrofitted so that we meet those requirements.
I see that as a separate motion. I thought Councillor Sheridan's motion was to look into it. I guess I'm losing perhaps the difference between the first motion and your amendment. Could somebody help me out? Councillor Morrison?
Thank you.
Well, are you speaking, we need to speak to there's a motion for an amendment. We need to speak to that first. And is there a seconder for the amendment?
What is the amendment?
Well, Councillor Gunn, do you want to suggest your amendment again?
Well, Councillor Sheridan suggested that we find another venue. We have our meeting in person, one thing and another. But my amendment to that would be to direct the CAO, which is just what I said, the CAO through our county work staff to retrofit or have chambers retrofitted so that we can hold our meetings there.
Do you have Councillor Sheridan's motion there?
Yeah. Councillor Sheridan moves, seconded by Councillor Connell, to have the CAO investigate 3 sheets of plexiglass at each desk in council chambers in order to meet in person.
So to me, the difference seems to be that the amendment suggests it's a direction to do it, and Councillor Sheridan's was to investigate whether we can do it.
Yes, that would
happy
be
to have
the
somebody
difference.
help me out here.
That would be the difference.
That would be the difference. So is there a seconder to Councillor Gunn's motion for an amendment? Councillor Longmire. So at this point, we discuss the amendment. Councillor Morrison.
I'm suggesting that this whole discussion is not necessary. We have a motion on the books directing the chief administrative officer to make arrangements to hold our meetings in person.
Well, okay. But according to what I just heard, it seems as though his view is nothing's going to change. We're going to stay with Zoom, is what I interpret what he's saying. Is that correct?
No, council can direct me. I'm not sure if that was the original motion.
Well, I have it with me. I can read it.
Yes.
This is from the council meeting of October the 20th, 2020, and it was a recommendation from the Committee of the Whole the week before. And the motion is, pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole, Deputy Warden Roberts moved, seconded by Councillor Gunn, that Municipal Council direct the CAO to arrange a venue large enough to hold in-person November Committee of the Whole safely in accordance with Nova Scotia government regulations. Motion carried, 9 in favor, 1 against. So that was, we directed the CAO to arrange a venue large enough to hold in person. Yeah.
Just as a bit of background to that motion, this swearing in, this special session of council was supposed to be held on the same day as Committee of the Whole. So it was to have a venue for Committee of the Whole so that this special session could be held in person in order to do the swearing in and the elections.
So that has been fulfilled.
Then council moved Committee of the Whole to Thursday to accommodate this group being able to have an orientation this afternoon in person.
Councillor Connell?
So if that's the case, we do need a new motion to...
Well, right now we have where Councillor Gunn. We have his amendment is on the floor. Are you speaking his amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what...
Sorry, what was said?
So if we need a new motion, if that motion was only meant for that one Committee of the Whole, and it's the Committee of the Whole meeting is taking the special council meeting, and if that's what they're...
I see what you're saying.
To,
So in order to clarify that we're looking for a direction with respect to the upcoming Committee of the Whole meeting, we need a new motion because of what...
I think we need a new motion
Okay.
to all of our meetings from now on in person.
Is your hand up?
Just
Yes, but it's the ever never-ending problem with always being on the right-hand side of the chair. I'll speak after Councillor.
No, I think Councillor Connell is finished,
Oh,
so I recognize you.
oh, thank you. If I may, I don't think and I've been very supportive of Councillor Gunn's thought on this, but given all the things that are happening, and we had new changes yesterday from the provincial government, I wonder, to move ahead on it at this point in time, not knowing what's coming in the next week or two from the government, and we were trying to get a handle on COVID-19, and the idea that as small as the council chambers are, we maybe could squeeze people in, councillors and limited staff, but other staff members who are needed there from time to time, let alone members of the public. I don't know if it's something we should move ahead with at this time. I don't like Zoom meetings. I get that people don't like Zoom meetings, but without Zoom, I don't know where we would be given the situation we find ourselves in. I'm just wondering if moving ahead in the next, let's say, month, not knowing what we're going to be facing, coupled with can we physically fit even, members of staff who are called upon at council meetings and committee of the whole to make comments or give guidance. I don't know if it's something that personally, I would have issues as much as I don't like Zoom. I don't know if this is necessarily where we should be going. Just my own thoughts, for what they're worth.
Councillor Bartow, did you want to make some comments?
Well, I was listening to the motion to provide this venue for the community of the whole meeting, and at some point it got decided to separate it out, to have swearing in separately. But the motion still said to provide the space for the committee of the whole meeting, which is not today. So isn't it still on the books that that has to be provided?
Yeah, I think there's a reality that, the reality is that the committee of the whole meeting on Thursday is on Zoom, and we don't have an alternative site. Tomorrow's a holiday, so I think there's a reality here, regardless of how we feel, that we're going to have to do that on Zoom. So I think what we're really talking about is the council meeting on Tuesday and the meetings thereafter, if I can make that point. Councillor Longmire, did you want to make a comment?
Thank you. I would just like to say that I think proactively we need to look at something futuristically. So I do feel that exploring what it would take to put down the appropriate infrastructure will show the communities that we're preparing once we do get this situation with COVID-19 under control, whether it be by vaccine or whatever, that we're ready to then meet with them on another level.
Any other comments with respect to the amendment to the motion? And again, to clarify, and I'm happy for the clerk to correct me, the amendment, sorry?
Just one more comment.
Sure.
And it's related to Thursday, and they're saying tomorrow's a holiday. Is there any reason why that committee of the whole meeting has to be on Thursday? It couldn't be on Friday, to give IT a chance to set up for us in a venue like this?
Well, I did speak to the lady about that possibility this morning, who's in charge of this facility. And unfortunately, she's not available on Thursday. And I asked her if there was any other person that might come, and she didn't seem so. I asked her to actually come later today to personally advise us as to whether this facility would be available on Thursday. And I haven't seen her. The doors are closed. She's around. We can ask her, but I think I got the message that most people are not working here anymore that used to work here. They're working from home, or they're off-site, and it would be difficult. The message I got from her. So unless there's any other comments on the amendment, and I'd ask the clerk to correct me if I'm wrong, that the amendment is to direct the CAO to make changes to the council chambers in Annapolis Royal such that we can meet in person. And of course, that would have to be in accordance with the COVID regulations, as opposed to the motion on the floor, which is to have the CAO investigate whether that's possible. Do you think that's roughly correct? Okay. Okay, we're still talking about the amendment, Councilor Morrison.
I'm going to enter one of my points of order and indicate it is my view that the amendment is not in line with the motion. That is not to say there can't be a separate motion, but the amendment is an entirely different procedure than the motion, and is therefore, in my view, not a valid amendment.
I believe that the proper procedure, this is my first point of order, okay? Help me out. My understanding from the rules is that I'm supposed to rule on that. But I see Councilor Sheridan has her hand up, and with Council's agreement, I would like to hear from her on what she has to say.
I was just going to suggest that maybe I could remove my motion. I'll withdraw my motion and let Mr. Gunn's stand, his motion stand.
So I think technically if that's the case, then what would have to happen is that you would withdraw your motion, and then Councilor Gunn may wish to make a new motion.
Correct.
Because there'd no longer be an amendment to the motion you've withdrawn.
Point of order there.
Yeah.
Does not, we have to deal with Mr. Gunn's amendment before we can deal with Councilor Sheridan's primary motion. And I believe the second order there is that if Councilor Sheridan is going to remove her motion, the seconder also has to agree with it. I'm a little vague on that one, but I think that's also in there.
You're correct.
It works.
Excuse me,
Councilor Morrison, yeah.
we can't have 2 points of order.
Right, you're right.
Hey, we're learning.
The point of order was that the amendment is contradictory to the motion.
Correct.
My ruling is that I believe that that it's not contradictory. It does change it. It amends it. The first motion was to ask the CAO to investigate, and the amendment is that he be directed to do it. And so I see those as being an amendment to the motion. So unless there's further discussion, and I think there's been enough discussion, but I'll entertain more. I'll be calling for a vote on the amendment, which is to amend the motion for a direction rather than an investigation. Lots of time, yeah.
When the council chambers, if the council chambers gets revamped, there's 2 big screen TVs. It doesn't have to be revamped for staff to have to be in there. They can do the Zoom to us in that council chamber. It only has to be our council and whoever has to be there. It doesn't have to be all the staff, where some people were afraid that we wouldn't get the information from staff if we needed their comments. It's set up for that at the end of that. So I agree with Mr. Gunn.
I'm going to call a question on the amendment. Would the clerk please read the amendment?
Just go back. Councilor Gunn moved, seconded by Councilor Longmire, to amend the motion to direct the CAO to have council chambers retrofitted to meet in person.
Is there a time limit on that, or?
I would think we'd want that done by the first of the year, wouldn't we?
It's not part of your amendment, so we'll leave the amendment as it is on the floor at the moment. We can deal with that. All those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Aye.
Motion's carried. So would you read the amended motion, please, if the clerk could do that?
It was moved by Councillor Sheridan, seconded by Councillor Connell, to direct the CAO to have council chambers retrofitted to meet in person.
Right. And there was a seconder for that, right? I forget who it was.
Moved by Sheridan, seconded by Connell.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Yes?
Sorry, may I pose a question? Does council want me to get back to you regarding the cost?
And where it comes from?
I don't know. Let's just leave that, and if you think it's a problem, you can let us know.
Is there a certain, is there a certain dollar value that we're allowed to go ahead with without getting costs back? Like, we need to answer the question that the CAO put to us.
Well, you know, as far as I don't know what it'll cost. I don't know when it'll be done. I told the CAO if he thinks it's going to be something that's untoward to bring it back. I mean, I don't know if I'm in a position today to say what it should cost or shouldn't cost.
Most expedient, huh?
Councilor Morrison.
Thank you. We operate our business on the basis of motion.
Right.
And we have just passed a motion. I am not in favor of any member of council speaking to the CAO to ask him or direct him to do things other than those that are in the motion.
Agreed.
Well, sir, you indicated that you would be speaking to the CAO.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay, thank you. So we have the situation where we're telling the CAO what to do. He asked whether we wanted information as to the cost, and by our discussions.
Right. There's no motion. He asked a question.
There's no
motion on the floor at the moment. He asked a question. Nobody brought a motion forward.
Right. So we won't get the cost.
Well, I thought I was being reasonable. I just said if he wants to bring it back to council because it's too expensive, he can do that.
But, excuse me, you are the chair of the meeting.
Yes.
You cannot take action with the CAO that goes against the sheer and very clear intent of our motion.
I didn't think I was. Okay, we're finished with that motion. Councillor Connell, you want to say something?
I'm on the same thoughts as Councillor Gunn, that I would like to see the timeline put on it, that it be done by the new year, and that staff find the money.
Okay, is there a seconder for that motion?
Is that a motion?
Is it a motion?
Was that a motion?
Yes.
Would you repeat it, please?
Did you get that?
That the council chambers be accomplished by the new year, and that our staff find the money to have it done.
Is there a seconder to that motion? Councillor Redden?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Councillor Redden?
Being my first, I want to put forward an amendment to the motion, and as it's my first amendment and whatnot, please correct me. I'd like to narrow it up a little bit and maybe direct the CAO to come back to us with more than one option. One option being where the council meets as close to regularly as possible is done in there, and whether that means using some of the facilities that already exist to allow both staff to be outside, but also I would really like to see external people be able to come in, and if there's a spot in the building, we can also have them video into us in the council. That would be sort of the ideal option one, where option two would be a more scaled back option, very minimalist. And if the CAO, if council could direct the CAO to come back with two options similar to that, I think that would allow us to move forward in a more expedited manner, and that we would not have to do the back and forth about pricing nearly as much.
My sense is that you're addressing more the motion that we've already passed, rather than the timing.
I suppose I was thinking a 2-week timing was the thing, but you're right, I may be doing that.
Well, if you want to make an amendment to the motion was the end of the year. If you'd like to make it 2 weeks, then that would be an amendment to the motion.
Well, I guess we're completed by the end of the year. Was that Mr. Connell's motion? Or was it the pricing?
No, it would be completed.
Yeah, I was thinking
2 weeks?
2 weeks for pricing with work by the end of the year.
Pretty much the same.
Similar.
I'm afraid basically, if I understand the motion on the floor, it was to have the council chamber outfitted by the end of the year. And the suggested amendment is that it be, it was 2 points, right?
Yes, that if we're going to have it outfitted by the end of the year, and it also speaks to the CAO's question, I guess, as well.
It was going to be what, sorry?
We have it outfitted by the end of the year, but it also speaks to the CAO's question of cost, was my thought. I don't know if you can make an amendment or a motion have sort of 2 pieces or not, but...
I think the motion was that it was regardless of the cost, was it not?
Yes, my apologies, I misunderstood. I will withdraw my motion.
Yeah, you can withdraw the motion for the amendment, is that what you're saying?
Yes, make the motion for the amendment.
Councilor Pratt?
I do think we need to look at the cost. All I can tell you is I'm building a little 4-post thing in the backyard, and you go and get 2 or 3, I'm not talking anything about plexiglass or hardware, but everything is expensive at this point in time. We might be looking at substantial costs at a time that we're trying to keep things in the black. I would make the motion that we do look at costs before we proceed. I like the idea of the first of the year. I think that's a reasonable time to look at it, but I would like to hear back on the costs, and I would make that motion.
You're moving an amendment to the motion?
Yes, I would move that it be amended to, that we examine the cost at the first opportunity, if that's possible.
Is there a seconder to that amendment? Councilor Redmond will second it. Is there any discussion? As I understand, the amendment is that we first look at the cost. Councilor Morrison?
Thank you. That's a very good amendment, but it's open-ended. There's no indication as to when council wants to see the cost.
I was going to bring that up as myself, Councilor Morrison.
And someone previously had mentioned 2 weeks. If we use 2 weeks, then we will have to have a special council meeting to discuss the costs, because our council meeting is next Tuesday.
Sorry, is there somebody that hasn't spoken on the amendment yet, that wishes to speak on the amendment? So the amendment was, if I remember correctly, the amendment was that we not proceed until we get some idea of the cost. Was that the idea? In my own words. If no one else wishes to speak, I guess.
Question?
Councilor Bartow.
Could the CAO let us know it's enough time? Like, how much time do you need to get the cost back so that it falls within our meeting parameters? So maybe I need to speak up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I've been accused the tone of my voice is.
You're asking the CAO to give us his opinion as to how long it would take to get a quote on the work that would have to be done.
Can we get that back?
I don't think that would take too much time.
Can we get that back prior to our, it's pretty tight timeframe to get it prior to our next council meeting, because that's only Tuesday, right? So would that be possible? And then we don't have to worry about special meetings or putting it off another month.
Steve McGinnis just had surgery. I'm not sure if people are aware of that. Our director of operations, he just had a hip replacement. And he's going to be back soon, maybe after next week. In the interim, I can get somebody to go out and call for quotes, talk about the companies that are doing this, see if we can get some phone quotes to get an idea. That usually doesn't take long, but we may have to do a further procurement. Sometimes that takes time, depending on what the cost is. So I don't think it'll take long for me to come back with an estimate. If I may offer, and the discussion is very good here, I think ultimately council wants to meet together.
Right, we want to meet in person.
We want to meet in person. So this is not a bad spot, okay? So in the interim, why don't I try to get this spot while we're working on the council chamber? There will be a cost to it, but you'll be able to meet in person if that's what you want. And this would, the size of this room helps that out. I think it was what, Carolyn, about 250 to rent this room?
For the room.
For the room. And we have to bring equipment here in order to get it in place. But if you want to meet in person, I can take that two-way approach. Ultimately, you want to know the cost, you want to know it soon. You want the council chamber outfitted before the year end, and you'd like to meet in person.
I was about to make a similar suggestion, Mr. CAO, myself, that we, particularly for the meeting on Tuesday, if we could meet here on Tuesday, a week from today, that would be wonderful rather than on Zoom.
And if council would like to do that, that's all the resolution you need to make, and we'll proceed to have this ready for Tuesday. And then we'll work on the other pieces.
Will we need a motion?
Okay, we need, we've had an interesting discussion, and I have to, I think I'll rely on the clerk at the moment, yes.
But I have a comment first, if I may.
Okay.
So for new councilors, the Department of Municipal Affairs and Housing provides training for you. That training is by Zoom. It's 3 days of training, and the first day is next Tuesday at 12 o'clock. So if you were meeting by Zoom for council, then you would be able to make that meeting. They're not providing alternate dates. You could do a catch-up. It's a 3-hour, that first day is a 3-hour training. I just wanted you to be aware of that.
I don't think it's next Tuesday.
It's next Tuesday, the 17th of November. I am.
I had it on my calendar for a different day.
That's the first day.
Financial ones?
No, this is the new council training.
Even if we're meeting on Zoom, our council meeting might go past 12 o'clock.
I'm just putting it out there that that's the first day of the municipal affairs training that's being offered for new councilors. That's from 9:30 till 12 next Tuesday. It's the first day of the 3.
But we have a council meeting next Tuesday.
Yes. If you were interested in attending that Zoom part, you could move the timing of your council meeting if we were not located here and if it was still on Zoom. I'm just putting that out there for your information.
So let me just think about where we are. There was an amendment on the floor that I asked the clerk to read.
There is an amendment. It was moved by Councillor Prout, seconded by Councillor Redden, to amend the motion to have the CAO present costs.
Okay, I'll call a question on the amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. I think I'll do a show of hands. All those in favor of the amendment to the motion, please raise your hand. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The amendment is carried. So the amendment is that we get some idea of cost before we proceed with the amendment to the changes to the council chamber. So now the motion, to refresh my memory, please, what the motion is.
It was moved by Councillor Connell, seconded by Councillor Redden, that council chamber changes, just I got too many S's in there, be accomplished by the new year, and that staff find the money to have it done, and that the CAO present the costs.
But there was an amendment.
That's that the CAO present the costs.
Is that the motion as amended?
Yes.
So you please read that again then.
It was moved by Councillor, this is the motion as amended. It was moved by Councillor Connell, seconded by Councillor Redden, that council chamber changes be accomplished by the new year, and that staff find the money to have it done, and that the CAO present costs.
Okay. Any other discussion on the motion? Is everybody clear with what the motion is? If so, I'll call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's carried. So what I would like to do, I would entertain a motion around the floor in light of Mr. Ferguson's comments that we attempt to meet here or some other place, as Councillor Morrison has suggested, in this facility, pending the changes to the council chamber. Would anyone like to make that motion?
Is that right?
Councillor Gunn? Is there a seconder to that motion? Councillor Connell? Is there discussion on the motion?
So the motion I would make would be that Annapolis County Council meet in this premise on Tuesday. Is that it?
Well, what I suggested is we meet here, if possible, or as Councillor Morrison said, there's even a bigger room, pending the end of the construction of the council chambers. That might not be till January, I don't know, I'm just saying it.
So we're saying so that we'll keep this room for our meetings, or whatever room, until January to meet it.
Until we get the, assuming we get the council chambers done in chambers and by the end of December, but maybe that won't happen. I'm just saying until the council chambers were ready to go in person in the council chambers, that's what I'm saying.
Yep, that's good.
You happy with that?
I'm happy with that.
Councillor Sheridan.
Just in regards to next Tuesday's meeting where it's interfering with the municipal affairs courses, is there a way of postponing that meeting till the following day, or so it's not interfering with those courses for council? Is that possible?
I believe that the location, timing of council meetings can be changed by motion of council or by consensus, actually, if I remember the policy correctly. So that would be a possibility, but that's perhaps a different issue than the motion that Councillor Gunn has made, that we meet at these places. I mean, moving the date is, I think, a little different. Maybe you could suggest that after we deal with this motion.
Okay.
Can I ask for clarity? Is it for council and committee of the whole, or just council?
Well, I took it to be committee of the whole. Whenever, the idea is that the councilors want to meet in person, whether it's committee of the whole, whether it's council, or maybe even if it was an audit committee meeting. I mean, I think the idea is that council wants to meet in person if at all possible. So I would take it from the motion that it refers to any situation where council as a group meets. Okay? Any other discussion on the motion? Would you read the motion again?
It was moved by Councillor Gunn, seconded by Councillor Connell, to hold meetings in person here or somewhere else pending changes to council chambers, here being ABCC.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Now, Councillor Sheridan, would you like to raise a subject?
Well, in regards to next Tuesday, where the municipal affairs are having a Zoom meeting with the new councilors, and that's going to interfere with the council meeting itself, is it possible to change the meeting date for next Tuesday?
I brought my policies with me. I think it is, but I could read it. I see our solicitor and our CAO are nodding in agreement. So what day would you suggest?
Whichever day would be convenient for the clerk and her staff and the CAO and the staff to,
So maybe like the next day, the 18th, then?
if that's possible.
No.
18th is still part
No, that's part of
Part of
the,
the course.
Yeah, the course is the 17th, 18th, and 24th
yeah.
18th, so it'll be the 19th is,
for municipal affairs.
The 19th would be a week from the Committee of the Whole, which is this Thursday.
Thursday and Thursday.
Thursday and Thursday, that would work.
So would you like to make a motion then?
I would like to make a motion to have the council meeting for next week on November the 19th.
Commencing at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, yes.
Here in this building, as soon as it's available.
Location to be determined. Announced.
Yeah.
Second.
Second, Councillor Gunn. Discussion on the motion. Councillor Longmire.
Are the education sessions recorded and available to, no, so they're live?
Workshops are not recorded.
Councillor Bartow, I saw your hand.
I just was wanting to make sure that instead of having multiple motions, that any of the upcoming stuff for the education sessions, whatever, within the next month or two, that we address that all at once instead of individually. If there's any scheduling that has to be adjusted, maybe we can take a look at that. I'm not sure, Carol, if there's any other conflicts at this point with regular scheduled meetings. Apparently we have one next week, but is there any further ones that we should be addressing at this time?
There are 3 financial management ones. I don't have the dates right in front of me.
I think I may have them, I'm not sure if they're...
Yeah, I think they start the end of, I think they might start like November 24th and follow after that every couple of weeks.
I think, and this is just from memory, the Monday the 30th of November, Friday the 4th of December, and Monday the 7th of December? Or what I have written down, but I could be.
I don't have
That's
it right in front of me.
roughly what I remember. Yeah.
The municipal affairs and housing just came out last week with those dates, and I've asked them if, and I got a response this morning, if they could change the 17th. Those dates are locked in.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is that we move the council meeting to the 19th at 10 o'clock, hopefully in this same room or in some other room in this facility, I guess. Any other discussion on the motion? Ask the clerk to actually read the motion.
Was moved by Councillor Sheridan, seconded by Councillor Gunn, to hold November council on Thursday, November 19th, starting at 10 o'clock with the location TBA to be announced.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Is there any other new business that anyone would like to bring up before I call for an adjournment?
Can I just clarify that this Thursday's Committee of the Whole is still on for Zoom at 9 o'clock?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, good. I just...
So is there any other new business anybody wants to bring up? Councillor Bartow?
Just to continue the rhetoric on it, is there any possibility we're moving the council meeting a day or two or whatever, that we couldn't shift the committee, the whole meeting and the council meeting ahead so that we can have both of them together instead of Zoom? No?
I don't think so. No, they're separate meetings.
I didn't say together. I said not move them together, but move them both ahead to allow for that.
If I may, through your word, just for clarification, Committee of the Whole is always held a week before council, so we have time to reflect on the decisions we have to make. So that's the purpose.
Yeah. So what I was saying, Mr. Chairman, was that we move the Committee of the Whole to council meeting date and take it ahead a week.
Oh, I see.
Speaking to the
Committee of the whole to...
I guess I wasn't clear enough. That was my intent.
The
Yeah.
council meeting to the 26th.
Yeah, would something like that be possible?
That's an idea.
And we have committee of the whole 2 weeks later. It just, when it's snowball effects, it's,
Well, we're in a transition phase that's causing issues right now, so if we get this cleared up in this next round, then maybe we can have some continuity from there on.
Well, we just had a motion that the council meeting will be on the 19th. And,
That can be amended.
you know,
If necessary.
suggesting that it be changed. I think you're kind of asking for
Motion is
rehash.
passed.
Well, there could be a new motion.
Yeah, it's passed.
What do you think, Bruce?
The motion's been passed, I don't think you can amend
I
it
tend
now.
to agree with you.
Yeah, it's
Councilor
done.
Ray?
I still have a question, but with that meeting only being 2 days away, I know we have to give a minimum amount of notice for a meeting. Do we have would that also restrict us from moving a meeting that was imminent? Curiosity as much as anything.
My recollection is that the council has the ability to move meetings, and I don't recall what I've got the policies with me, and we can do it. I have to look at the details to answer the question.
there's a clear 5-day notice given right now for that council meeting to be changed.
No, I meant the chair, the committee of the whole.
Yeah,
I
committee of the whole
knew
is
there was
not-
notice for it. It was, I didn't know if there was any restrictions on us then being able to move it after we're inside that 5-day notice for the committee of the whole.
Yeah, I think myself, I'd have to read it again. I brought it with me. I think we can. I know there's been a 5-day notice, but I think we can move it. Is my suspicion. I think I'm seeing some nods. So, are you suggesting we move the committee of the whole?
No,
No.
I was curious about our abilities.
Yeah.
That was a discussion with Mr. Bartow, was not? With Councilor Bartow about moving the committee of the whole? I thought we were still discussing moving the committee of the whole and the council and.
No, what we've done is the committee of the whole right now is going ahead on Zoom as scheduled on Thursday.
Yeah.
Although I have to learn how to do Zoom. And the council meeting has been moved to the 19th from the 17th, in person here, hopefully. Okay? Councilor Khan?
Question on the ability to, even though the motion was passed, don't we have the ability to rescind that motion as a council?
We do. I think if somebody that voted in favor of the motion wishes to bring a motion to review it, then he can do so as long as he does it the day of. Am I roughly correct? I see Bruce is agreeing with me. I think it was pretty unanimous. If somebody wants to rescind the motion, I guess they have a right to bring that, but I don't know if that's debatable. That's the other thing. You know the answer to that?
I don't know if I have the answer to that, but I would offer through the warden. The reason why Carolyn brought up the fact about the meetings being put 2 weeks ahead is that the whole process for getting a council package together, she has to get it by Wednesday, the day before the meeting, and compile the agenda. If the meetings come too close, it sometimes creates problems for the agenda being created. That was her concern. You do have the ability to move your meetings. If council does so, and if it's a shorter period of time, it doesn't mean it's invalid. It just basically means that you've made that decision, and you can make the decision. But all we're suggesting is that it will create, if the closer it gets to the next cycle of committee of the whole in council meetings, it will create some backlog in the clerk's office.
Any other new business? Hearing none, then I'll call for a motion for adjournment. Councilor LeBlanc, Mr. Stessler, Councilor Prout. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay. Motion is carried.